Hi, I'm Dave Worth. I'm sitting here with Domingo Bruges and Sasha Dewitt, and we're going to talk about growing Muzzley today, I think. How did you choose the name?
That's a nice story. So, in fact, we have no story. So, we just wanted a name that didn't exist in the market, that had no meaning and no harmful meaning in any part of the world. But we tried to find out a name that was friendly. So, we researched and we built this name.
Super cool. How did the founders team come together? How did you guys meet?
That's also interesting. So our company, when we started the company, Muzzley entered the Techstars, an acceleration program. I met Sasha at the program, and immediately we found a connection. Sasha was helping the company through Techstars, and after the program, Sasha just joined us as a co-founder.
That's great.
And doing this is one of the only people I've ever met who I can travel with for days on days and work and talk to nonstop and not get sick of. So it works. If there's someone where you're 24 hours on planes and traveling and you still get along at the end of the day, it seems like it's a good co-founder match.
So you mentioned like the money raising thing. How did that process go for you?
I guess all startups say the same. So the vision was big, and we really need to build or to focus on product over growth. So we had like 2 years ahead before going into market. So we need to raise a significant amount of money. So with the PowerPoint, with the team and the right investors, we raised like $4.5 million as seed money. It was a big process, and we did it on the first 6 months. It was quite efficient, and it worked. So
it's excellent. You started in Portugal, and then Techstars was in Boulder, I think, and now you're in San Francisco. That's kind of a lot of moves. But settling in San Francisco is kind of a place where many people go now. How has that been experienced in moving to SF and setting up camp there?
So we started in Portugal as having the technical team. So all the engineering, the data science and the engineering team is in Portugal. And we immediately went to SF due to the relations, as we are an IoT platform, the relations with the manufacturers. And that was also part of our product development. So manufacturers are our partners. Once we started to go into the market in the sales process, we went to Techstars in New York.
So we're part of the Techstars IoT program. Yeah. So it was separate from the Boulder program. It was very specific for working with IoT devices and any connected.
Yeah. So that was the strategic steps: build the product, keep growing the product, and then the sales activity in the East Coast.
Sure. So that's actually really interesting to have the tech team still in Portugal and be in SF. How do you kind of manage that remoteness?
Yeah. Well, the engineering in SF is quite complex for us. And Lisbon, as you see, is quite attractive, so it's easy to attract talent right now, and we are taking advantage of it, so it's really cool.
So what's been kind of the biggest surprise in your journey from a PowerPoint to where you are now?
Well, it's a 3 years plus journey, so a lot of surprises. One of our biggest events was always when we were changing from product to growing the product or to scale and then getting customers. All these points were challenges for us. Some of them made us pivot a little the product or the market or the customer itself, the industry that we were targeting. So I would say it's a 3 years old company, so there are a lot of marks on our path. Yeah.
Sure. So have you had to make any changes to say support? Like the support story is always kind of a different one from the development story, right? Have you had to adapt to that in any way, or is that pretty natural?
So maybe you would like to answer that.
Yeah. So like I said before, so once we started, we had this B2C app, and we were working with primarily with consumers and building out a way to connect people, have people connect their homes and control their connected devices. And from there, realized that there actually was a huge untapped potential for working on the B2B side. working with insurers, working with utilities, and that really there's a demand for being able to access that data and really be able to have insight into what people's day-to-day lives were like and use that to create better products for customers. So for example, right now our biggest push and the biggest thing that we've learned is that there's a demand on the insurance side to have a deeper understanding of like what is it like inside someone's home, inside this asset that we're covering. And so I think a big sort of surprise and learning experience for us was like, oh, okay, so instead of this really cool connected home product, we actually have like this wealth of data that's valuable outside of just what we originally built.
Yeah, we are trying to change, and we are changing how people see their privacy. So we really believe on our customers or on our users' right to privacy. So, and people today see their personal data as something that others want to steal or tap into. And the thing is that their personal data is an asset that each person owns. And they can do whatever they want with it. The important thing is for them to be completely aware of what's being shared, with whom, and how it's being used, and if it's being resold or transmitted to third parties. And this is where we are tapping. So building knowledge around each person day in the life, profiling each person, and allowing this person to take advantage of its own asset, that is the data that the person owns. So yeah.
That's super interesting. Do European data privacy laws kind of influence any of that? 'Cause I know they're very different in the US. And
they do. So Muzzley today we are GDPR compliant. So we are fully compliant with the European laws, which kind of waives almost all of the restrictions all over the world. So, but we had a huge push in terms of product to be compliant. So in terms of security, privacy, features.
Sure. Super interesting. Yeah. It's one of those fascinating things where people suddenly just put listening devices in our house, right? Both explicitly, like Alexa, and also like our watches. I had a friend who's a super privacy dork who's wearing an Apple Watch one day, and it's amazing, right? Like, so question, you're so worried about your privacy, but you literally have a listening device.
Domingos is a cybersecurity expert nerd too, so it comes with the territory.
Yeah. My background is on cybersecurity, and this is what is mainly the reason why we built Muzzley, is that you should be in control of your data, and it's not a problem to be generating data and taking advantage of products that listen to you, as long as you know what they're doing. So we really believe on transparency, on being open. And
so how do you execute on that? How do you surface that data to customers?
Yes, so it all starts today with devices or sensors that collect your data. But we also in-source data from cities, from all your context data, the weather, the traffic, if there's a strike in the city, and so on. We in-source all that data. We profile it, so we put all our analytics on top of it, and then to our customers we provide real-time engines saying this person started to commute, this person is going to commute to work, so they can then, on their products, build the right decision or suggestion to their customers. So if they know that you are commuting to work, probably they can suggest to adopt something on your office space, or try to deliver something because you are arriving at the same time.
That's super interesting. So do you also look to feed that back to municipalities for like city planning and things? Because it seems like you have a secondary impact.
There are a lot of industries where we can fit into, but as a startup we need to focus. And as Sasha was saying, the insurance space is a space that today, if you look to the old insurance companies and like the 60% of the market is covered by companies that have more than 100 years. And these companies are struggling to find bond or to create laces and relationship with their customers. No one wants to talk with their insurance company because typically they solve problems. That's why they see the insurance space for. So they are really focused on understanding more about you so they can engage with you. Imagine you are 1/3 of your time outside home. And what if the insurance company starts saying, hey, use your lights to simulate presence, that way you will reduce the probability of an intrusion by X. So they are engaging with you, making you have safer and healthier habits, for example. Yeah.
Super interesting. So you spoke about like we didn't focus on all the things every engineer wants to do, like that and that and that. How do you kind of internally maintain that laser focus? Like, no, we have to focus on insurance. This is key.
We didn't start focus. So when we started, we were like a development language. Anyone could use us. We could fit anywhere. The thing was that as time was progressing, when we needed to start doing sales, we didn't have the resources for all, so we just needed to tap into a space.
And on the insurance side, so starting off here, we brought on 5 clients from different verticals and found that the largest client that we had, which is Allianz, was one of the largest markets, and so just honed in. I was like, where can we really have the most impact, and that led decisions from there.
That's super cool. How does that kind of deciding to focus on a space influence like people that you have? Did that change the shape of your development team or your sales team or anything else within teams? Or
so there are specific skills that you need to sell into a specific industry, and that the thing is that the company, before building that team, decided to research what was the vertical. So after we decided it was insurance, we started to build a sales team for insurance. The product team, we need to have, of course, to onboard the team into this decision, because saying that working for the insurance might not be the sexiest thing to say to a team. So you need to explain the value that you are bringing to the game and how you are changing people's lives. So today, our team really believes that what we are doing is promoting safer, healthier habits on people and changing everyone's lives. In the insurance space as well.
Sure, super cool. So what does your tech stack kind of look like? It sounds like it's probably a lot.
Yeah, so if you look at Muzzley, we are an IoT platform as technology. So on one side, we connect with 200 plus IoT vendors, like Nest, Fitbit, all those, and we have a way to do it in a couple of weeks or a couple of days to 2 weeks, which is quite fast to onboard a new device or manufacturer into our platform. Then we have a real-time engine that makes all the different manufacturers interoperable. So one event coming from one manufacturer can talk with another, so Muzzley bridges or merge all in the same technology. For this, we built our own engine and logic on top of Redis. That is a stack that we use. And then for the real-time communications, we have layers or adapters that provide communications on MQTT, HTTP, any kind of protocol, from real-time to other protocols. Then, all this data that is generated by the IoT devices and data that is in source from the city, from commutes, from all data, we inject it into a big data sink. Today we use Spark and the Hadoop family. Then we have all our big data analysis on top of it, and once again the result of this big data analysis goes back to our real-time engine that then we allow the insurance companies, our customers, to tap into, so they receive the data. So,
super interesting.
Yeah.
So between a day or 2 days to a week for onboarding a whole new technology, it's really fast.
Yeah, it's quite fast.
So what have you done to enable that? Is there some tooling you built?
Yes, so part of the process is made through a visual tool. So when a device is onboarded on Muzzley and the manufacturer joins, it starts by going to a visual tool and starting to describe the device. Imagine like the Nest thermostat. They would start saying, okay, the thermostat is a component. Inside the thermostat I have the temperature that is a property, the status on off is a property, the feels like temperature is another property, then this property belongs to a class, the values range from X to Z, and once they do this, Muzzley starts to understand which device is being connected to it. Then they just need to build a small adapter that connects their APIs with ours, and so it's a very, very fast process. And this was one of our strategic moves when we started the company to make this process fast.
And there aren't really industry standards in the way those APIs look, right? Or are there? I'm just wrong.
If we are calling like HTTP and MQTT a standard, yes, but today we are seeing best practices being widely used, but it was not like that 3 years ago, for sure. even if you look to IoT 3 years ago, IoT where things should be connected among themselves, there were closed ecosystems, so no one was speaking with each other, there were no APIs and so on.
So how many IoT devices are in your houses? Or apartments or where?
Oh, so Muzzley, we have a B2C approach that is our own app. And then we have our B2B product. On the B2C approach, we have more than 300k devices.
No, he means in your house.
Oh, on my house.
Also an important question, but a great answer.
I was trying to avoid that. I was trying to avoid that.
If you go to Best Buy and see anything that's for sale, that's probably like what's in your house.
10,000 devices everywhere.
And then I send to my friends the ones that I don't remember that I have.
There's even extras just like sitting in the trunk of his car. They're just sort of waiting to be tested out.
That's amazing.
Whereas in mine, I think it's only a handful, like speakers and Fitbits and Nest thermostat. So I'm not fully set up. Oh, and I got light bulbs. The Hue, the LifeX light bulbs, which are cool.
Yeah, the Hues arrived in my house one day and I was like, what's that glowing box behind my switch? Called my wife, was like, what's this? Oh, I got a bunch of Hues. Like, oh, I wanted a separate network for my IoT thing. Like, it's not that dude, you can't have them, but warn me. No warning, it's fine. I've got great light bulbs and a Sonos, and now it's just
No, what's cool, there's, I guess this was at CES one year, they set up a demo where you could control Domingos' house from CES, and so you could like through the Muzzley app, which was pretty cool. It's like everything is
and then we were seeing, so we had like a video wall with multiple areas of the house, they can control it, like turn on the sprinklers, easy stuff. But what was pretty cool was seeing the data that was generating and seeing the models that were being influenced by the data and seeing all the data flowing and the profile that was being generated was pretty cool. Yes.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
I was actually going to ask, like, how has the data that you were actually gathering started to change your own lives? Do you feel the impact of your own work in your life?
So what I feel is that today I really know which data is being generated and how data, like raw data from a device, can mean a total different thing. For example, when you press a switch on the wall to connect a light, the data is the light is on. But what Muzzley infers with it is there's physical activity in that room because someone physically pressed the switch. So, and this is what I really feel, is the power of data and how much that data could represent more than the value itself. So, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, like secondary effects.
Yeah,
and
it brought me awareness. Yeah.
So how has that experience been? Like, what have we done for you, and how have you felt in the program?
Yes. So when we joined the program, we were in a scaling phase for customers, but we were also feeling our system getting into under load, a significant amount of load. So that is the moment where you need to focus on scalability on the product, things that you probably don't think on when you prototyped and then you use the same code to keep evolving the product on top of the prototype. And also other components like security, infrastructure, not really the infrastructure, but how to architecture the connection between your software layers and where things are running. And of course your team helped a lot.
So how have there been any like technical decisions that like have changed now that you have Hatch and that level of support?
Yeah, definitely. So the brainstorming with your architects really helped on making decisions. So Muzzley is a small company. We are like less than 20 people, and when you have less than 20 people, there are overlapped roles and people that decide by themselves. And it's much better when you have someone brainstorming with outside perspectives that have done it before and so on.
Sure. So that's really leads to an always interesting conversation. Is how do you hire? How do you think about the people that you hire? Is there kind of like a culture around hiring that you've embodied, or like how's your approach?
Yeah, so we had multiple stages on hiring on the different stages of the company, and different stages of the company require different skills, different mindsets. So when we started the company, we just needed full stack everyone. So anyone that could do anything from making a pilot, the commercial part of a pilot, to code, it was what we want. Today we want people that are very focused and that they have expertise on specific areas. we have an engineering team in Portugal, as we have been talking. So it's easy to find talent and good people here. The thing is that we really are taking advantage of programs like Hatch because we can bridge the good technical skills with people or teams that have built for scale. And that way you can really take advantage of a very nice ecosystem like Lisbon and the companies and the teams that you get surrounded with. Yeah.
Super interesting. And scaling is kind of a complicated thing. You scale in a lot of ways in a company. Which has been the most challenging way to scale? Has it been business? Has it been people? What are the challenges of scaling?
Yeah. So
I think for us right now, the challenge is scaling on the marketing and business side, and that's where our focus is because we have the technical team in place. But you never have enough engineers, ever. And our CTO would definitely say that. But yeah, right now, I guess one of our challenges is finding the right people for going out and bringing in new customers. Because that's what allows us to bring on more engineers, right? So
sure. So what are you doing? What have you learned in that process of trying to figure out how to hire those people? Has there been like big indicators you've learned, or?
I think part of it is just tapping into the network that we have and using people who are part of our ecosystem to source the right people, recommend people who have been in the industry, like we said before, in insurance industry, find people who have a deep knowledge of that set. But I think the biggest part is really having like we said with Techstars, having a network that you can access sort of makes it a lot easier because there's just high quality people that are being funneled through.
Yeah, the programs like Hatch or Techstars are really, really important because there's always the friend of the friend, the person that you are connecting with. So it's also a very good way to scale and to grow the team.
Yeah, I think I've heard anyone say anything but that.
Yeah.
That's the connection.
There's nothing new to that, but it's really like a deep. It's something to always be reminded of. Like that's really important.
I guess that with our stage and the size of our company in terms of team, recommendations are really important. So bringing people on board just because they were, or mainly because they were recommended by someone, is a key for our decision. Probably when we get 405 people.
420 people, yeah. You've tapped out.
Probably we just start harvesting everyone, but today we just trust on recommendations.
So if you got to start all over again, what one thing would you change, or what few things would you change in the history?
I would start surrounding myself in the company in earlier stages by people that have done before. Either building the company, either scaling, either having contact with customers, even before going into the sales process. Feedback and mentoring is very, very important.
So I have to ask, and this is completely out of order, it's been in the back of my head the whole time. There's this vast amount of data, obviously there's kind of data science that plays in. We talk about the models, or is that super secret? So what types of high-level machine learning technologies do you bring to bear?
So we combine, we are not dogmatic in terms of approach. So we have our product roadmap defined on the outputs that we want, mainly due to the industry that we are working with, now insurance. And based on those profiles, we try to find the best approach. So we do everything from NLP to direct association. Someone press a switch, physical activity. So we touch everything from what touch. We try to avoid all the fancy words like AI, machine learning, but we are all over. And our team that executes, we have a stack of data science and then engineers to implement it. As a small team, the data science also implements, so yeah, that's it.
So this is definitely going to be edited back into the right place, but it's a question I also should have asked earlier. Tell me about you talked about technical scaling and moving to scale. Has that been kind of horizontal scaling? Has that been vertical scaling? How have you had to approach that?
Yes, so today Muzzley completely relies on horizontal scaling. We just horizontally put additional processes, machines, servers, and everything scales. We were not like that in the beginning, so we had a lot of challenges. So all our scaling is horizontal. So today is a matter of having a good partner providing us the ways for us to be elastic and just scale horizontally.
So how do you kind of technically build that elasticity?
Oh, so depending on the components. So looking to our main core component, that is the real-time engine where everything flows. What we have is a set of logic that orchestrates where the requests are made, and then just offloads them into specific nodes that are regionally, and the decisions are made by proximity, round trip time, customers that have their own instances and they just have one or two. So there's business logic involved for it, and we also license according to the scalability method. So.
Sure. And do you actually scale multi-regionally to provide low latency?
We do. So we federate all our nodes across the world. We don't have data centers, of course. We use providers like DigitalOcean, and what we do is when we detect when the customer is coming from Hong Kong, we probably route to the nearest or to the cloud that has the shortest round trip time. We monitor this all over the day, so multiple times a day, to understand if there is congestion and so on. So we are not on the infrastructure space, but we also monitor and route based on, because performance is important. So if you want something, if you want a good experience turning on a light, you really need to be very fast.
Yeah, click, wait 20 seconds. Yeah, exactly. So that's really interesting. You kind of alluded to being multi-cloud as well, which is another challenge, right? First it's multi-region, then multi-cloud, and then monitoring across those.
Yes.
Do you build your monitoring infrastructure also within clouds, or how do you kind of escape cloud inception?
We built our monitoring scripts, so how we understand something is with a downtime or not, but then we rely on monitoring platforms from our providers. And also we also built backup infrastructure. So today we can just shift all our infrastructure to a backup one in less than 2 hours, which is quite amazing. So it's a 2 hours downtime if it happens, but it's a big infrastructure. So right now, we build it a lot. It's 3 years.
Sure. Do you do any chaos engineering? Do you ever simulate just like, sorry, region X in cloud provider Y is gone? How do we fail over? Or
we do in multiple areas. Even in the customer perspective, not the connectivity to the internet. For example, we simulate a router that is dropping packets and stuff like that. Yeah, we do.
That's fun. That's my favorite part. Yeah,
it's fun. And I'm a technical CEO, so I really enjoy the company being good.
How do you balance that? Because sometimes the technical CEO can be a monster because they want to do both sides of the house, and other times they balance it really, really well. How do you kind of approach that?
I have a co-founder.
Sounds like the answer is have a great co-founder.
The answer is always have a co-founder.